Lambda functions are also called anonymous functions. An anonymous function is a function defined without a name. As we know, to define a normal function in Python, we need to use the def keyword. But in this case of anonymous functions, we use the lambda keyword to define the functions. Lambda functions are used when we need a function for a short period of time. This is commonly used when we want to pass a function as an argument to higher order functions, that is, functions that take other functions as their arguments.
Syntax of the lambda function includes four entities beginning with the keyword lambda, accepting a single or multiple arguments, followed by a colon, and finally returning a value generated by the single expression given at the end of the function definition. There is no explicit return statement though in lambda functions. This conciseness of lambda functions make them lightweight and also easy to use. Here is a quick look at the comparison between a lambda and a regular function. Next, we are going to see demo to understand more about lambda functions in terms of how to define, invoke, and use them.
Any function that has a body to it defined in a regular way is called a named function. So as you can see here, we have the add numbers function, and we are passing xyz parameters, and then basis some condition we are returning a certain value. Okay, certain expression is evaluated and returned. So if you see here, the number of lines of code is 6. Okay, so whatever functionality we are achieving through this function, it's achieved through 6 lines of code. However, if I say if the same functionality can be achieved by 2 lines of code, would you be surprised? No, you won't be, because we have already learned about the lambda function, right? So lambda function is a single expression function which can be used within any other method. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that this lambda function is written in one single expression. As you can see, this the right side of the equal to expression is the lambda function, and on the left side we have the variable name. So since any function in Python is a first class object, so it can be assigned to a variable, and when you call that variable and pass the parameters, this will actually invoke the lambda function. Okay, so when you say output function 2 comma 2 comma 2, these values are being passed to x, y, and z respectively. Okay, now let's take a look how this lambda function is defined. So first of all, for defining lambda function, we have to write the keyword lambda and then the number of input parameters separated by commas, and after that there is a colon, and then you write the whole function, the function statement or a function expression. So as you can see, this lambda function is expected to return x plus y divided by z if z is greater than 0, right? This is what we were doing here. If z is greater than 0, return this. So this else x plus y plus z, right? So the whole function of add numbers has now been shrunk into one single statement, right? And now and this also, I think, clarifies why lambda functions are anonymous, because whenever you define this function, there is no method name given to it, right? We are just using lambda with every function that we want to define as lambda function, right? So so this is one way of calling the lambda function. There is another way of calling lambda function, and that is typically used when lambda function is to be used just one time. Okay, so this is a single usage function call that you can write like this, and when you have to pass on the parameters, you will write 2 towards the end. Okay, so this much is your lambda function, okay, inside the parenthesis, and post that we are passing the input parameters again within the set of parentheses. So if we run this, the output is 2. And if I run the named method, the output is still 2. And if we run this lambda method of calling values, it's still 2, right? So all of these outputs are matching. Because we have seen the importance and significance of lambda function, right? That it basically reduces the lines of code, that is one. Also, it is something that can be used inside other methods to simplify the complexity of the code. Okay, so let's take a look at one of the methods, inbuilt methods called sorted, and let's study how lambda function can be used here. Okay.
I have defined values to be the list of tuples, and I'm calling the sorted method on this list of values by specifying the key attribute to be a lambda function. Okay, so the key attribute basically defines the criteria on which the sorting needs to be performed. So let's try to understand this logic, why we are assigning this lambda function to this key attribute. So basically, when we call this lambda function, we are passing this x as the input. Okay, and this lambda function returns the second element of this iterable x. Okay, so when we say x, we are basically referring to each of the elements that are part of this values iterable. Okay, so values iterable basically is nothing but the list here, and x will therefore become each of the tuples. Okay, x will contain the value of each of these tuples and will return the second element. Okay, element at position 2 of this tuple. So in this case it's returning rows. So right, so one element, the for the first element the lambda function would return rows. For the second iteration, the lambda function would return you lavender, and so on. Right? So basically, what we are trying to say here is that the basis of sorting of this values list would be the second element in the tuple, which is basically rose, lavender, and daisy. Okay, so now if we run this code, so we see the list has been sorted on the basis of the position 2 element, which is daisy, lavender, rose. Okay, so yeah, so this is how the lambda functions can be used inside other inbuilt methods. Okay, another quick example of sorted is given in the next piece of code, which takes the city list. City list is the list of cities, and this is being sorted based on this condition wherein the lambda function returns the character at the first position. Okay, the first index. So if you see the character as the first index is A, O, A, U, and E, so it will sort the cities basis this particular sorting order, right? But also we see one difference from the previous example, that it has the reverse parameter which is set to true. Hence the sorting will be done in the reverse order of the second element of the of each of the city names, right? So if we run this, we get Pune, Kota, Delhi, Jaipur, Raipur, and these are all sorted on the basis of the second element, second character in each of the city names. That is it for now, friends. Thanks for watching the video. If you like the content, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.